Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so I think it's something we need to address. I know we've been looking at engaging somebody to help with enforcement. I have some photographs that have been submitted by residents to sort of show in some areas, particularly Golden Eagle, how egregious some of the issues are.
We have that on number 3. We're gonna be talking exactly about that.
Hey, good. I think they'll be happy to hear that. The second topic was around the turn lane. As they're putting in the light at Golden Eagle, dedicated access lane. I know we're also trying to think about a dedicated access lane, on the lower part of Hideout. And kind of where's UDOT on that? Is there any information to be shared? And then the third issue is around the Jordanelle. Got some questions around, hey, how come the town's not trying to do anything to preserve water rights? If water's being released from the dam, when the water's already low, or it's not. So yeah, no, I know, but I feel like especially for East Coasters or even Midwesterners who've moved out to the west, understanding water rights and it's as valuable as oil.
Yes.
Is an interesting perspective. So I'm wondering if it would be worth our while having a page on the town website that just sort of refers to water rights and then something in the newsletter that says, hey, you want to know how water rights work in Utah? You know, we put a summary out just so you can have some general understanding. Yeah, because I feel like that
It's more of an education.
exactly. I needed to be educated on it. I still do. And I feel like, people may just naturally associate with with the town.
Yeah.
And explaining that the town has no rights.
Links to the BOR and Central Utah Water, so they could direct their inquiries and complaints in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the park when I first moved here, because it was a little weird, like, why aren't you raising the dam?
Doing something there. Yeah.
And it's 2 things. One is, it takes several months for the water to get from the winters, here, and they don't wanna have a flood, right? So they're a little bit concerned, but that's why they let some water out. Or allow it to stay lower. The second, though, is Deer Creek was established like 20 or 30 years before the Jordan Hill, so they have rights to fill first. So we have to let water, Jordan Hill has to let water go in there before they raise theirs. So
It's interconnected.
it's interconnected,
But I
and
think
it
it's
even turns
worth-
out there's like a state water board or something that actually controls all that. So we don't have any control of it. No.
So
Well, it's complicated. I mean, I was just on a call with the Central Utah Water District and the BOR, so you've got different agencies that, and of course, JSSD we meet with. It's complex, as you know, Tanya. I can, it's taken me a while just to even get to first grade on this, so to speak, over the past couple
Right.
of years.
I still-
So one thing we are doing, we're increasing our newsletter to twice a month to have topical, so, what we have, what's in the works right now. I wrote up a newsletter on the drought situation, so we're in stage 2 of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're in the middle. And that requires certain things to do for both the town and individuals. So there's a whole thing on water in the drought, there's a whole thing on water, usage. I think we'll have a series of newsletters coming out that will hopefully provide education. Those newsletters will then become permanent or, a living document on our website. And I think that they should be starting points for us to get better educated, the council certainly, and helping our residents. Better understanding of that. On the compliance piece, like, we will have that kind of complaint. I think we just need to get better. I can share with you in an open public that I talked to Mr. Martino from Mustang, and he's hiring 2 compliance officers that will have their own trucks in town. So we have to be aware that they might be out in front of us in writing, tickets. When I talked to Mr. Martino the other day, he said he sent me pictures of contractors leaving materials right next to fire hydrants, and he said this can't go on. So he's taking the bull by the horns, and I said, well, we're right there with you. We just don't need to get in the way of one another, so to speak, as to
I'll discuss this.
who's doing what.
Number three, we'll talk about it.
So that's an important aspect. I would have said this anyway when we got to the compliance piece, but since you brought this up, and if anybody else is listening, that's what we, I think both sides of the fence here, so to speak, are kind of finding, some common ground to get that find some more contractors.
Anything on Utah you want to address? I committed that I would speak on behalf of some.
Yeah.
Those that-
Well, at Golden Eagle and 248, the slowdown has been to some extent due to the fact that the U-turn lane is gonna cause some widening, and the acceleration coming out, I believe, out of Golden Eagle towards Park City needs to, and so that's adding 2 more lanes there. And they weren't, UDOT was not, didn't understand all the complexities, I don't think, of Elkhorn. So now when you're going east on 248 and come to Golden Eagle Road, you have to stay in the middle lane and actually make that U-turn to get back to Elkhorn. And so that wasn't originally part of what they were gonna do with that light. That's causing the slowdown. And so I'm not sure, I don't want to put any time frames on anything, but I'm
No,
not,
but they're looking at that.
but you guys engineers have to go back to the drawing board a little bit to make sure that they've got this right, because of the, the width has to substantiate the acceleration lane and the middle lane to make the U-turn.
Is UDOT gonna pay for that, or does the developer?
It's on UDOT territory, so I don't know if what Mr. Markbank's kicking in on this. or not,
Okay.
So to speak, that's
Yeah,
between them.
That's what's.
But
Yeah.
think about it, if you have an acceleration lane and you have a middle lane to make that U-turn, that's 2 lanes.
Two extra lanes,
That's not one, and
It's
so.
quite a bit wider.
Yeah. So I did meet with Carlos Becerras at UDOT, he's the executive director, he mentioned that briefly. We also have the other lane that we're thinking about doing at the entrance to Ross Creek. But immediately, we have co-funded 2 additional digital signs, speed signs at the entrance to Ross Creek and markings. That's about $30,000. We pay half, they pay half. We kicked in another $15,000 for a long-term study of that, which could be widening the deceleration lane and or putting a light at the conjunction of Deer Fountain Boulevard and Shoreline. And we kick in 15 and they kicked in 6. So that's 4 to 1.
Yeah.
And that study will kick off after July, when the fiscal year is. So, but that's the long-term study to do, but immediately we'll have 2 signs there and some other things.
So I don't know, Carol, do you have any, I heard some from Rachel, it was your committee meeting with Janet today about the grant.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah.
About the grant, how that grant may help us get some federal funds to improve that intersection.
She just, I mean, this came
That's
from
all.
you.
Yeah.
And she just said it could be a possibility, that's all. I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
It's possible that the grant we just got, 150K, could be used to help get federal funds for improving the intersection across county, including maybe
Well, the
Moving the road.
150 goes to a consult, a study.
a study.
It's a plan.
Right,
It's not to do anything physical.
physical,
Right.
no, I understand.
But that study should wrap in every agency that we can go
Exactly,
after
yeah.
for
And
either.
Jeff
different-
Dupay was supposedly on me.
Well, Jeff is our regional representative from UDOT. And he's been in here, he's presented to us like 3 meetings ago.
Well, and he also came to our not retreat, but that town meeting, the town planning meeting? Wasn't he on the panel?
Oh, yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
That's right. He was on, yeah, so he's,
He's
and
aware.
then, and Director Braceras, spent about an hour and 15 minutes with me. And we talked, and his Director of Trails, and we talked mostly about how we could be the glue between Park City and Camas and Francis to have a trail system
Right.
here. And, Carlos Braceras put together a $275 million package with Governor Cox on the Utah Trails Network. I'm just trying to get a couple out of that.
Right.
So, we're on the list, and, the lady who's in charge of it is on maternity leave, Stephanie. And, I've already communicated with her, at least that's, since it's that from maternity leave.
Was there someone trying to make a public comment or anything?
It doesn't seem, so there's a couple people unmuted, but it doesn't look like they want to.
Sorry for throwing all this stuff at the US question.
You open the door.
So close the public comment, is that?
Okay, no one online asking questions?
No.
Okay, so, I'm gonna close public comment, we're going to do the public portion and cover that, and the first up is Katie, are you online to discuss the budget amendment and the possible adoption of the FY 27 budget?
Yes, we'll be talking about the FY 27 budget today. I think the FY 26 budget amendment was moved to the end of this month. Because we have to notice it.
Right.
Well, when you say the end of this month, because we will have a meeting on the 30th, is that what you?
That's correct, on the 30th.
Right.
So we'll just do the budget presentation today. So if you want to bring it up, Maria, if you go to the presentation piece of this rather than all the numbers.
Bear with me.
Yeah, and then skip these 4 pages because that's the budget amendment. We want to go
Oh,
down
I'm sorry.
4 pages.
So sorry, bear with me.
Nope.
Let me just find it in my file. Give me just a second, okay?
Yeah, it's there. I think if you just page down one.
Oh, good. Oh, I thought I was looking for more. I'm so sorry. Okay, bear with me. Nope, that's all I have in this one. Is there? That's okay. Bear with me. Okay.
Yeah, it was in there earlier, about an hour ago.
Yeah, it was. I'm so sorry. Not this one either. Nope, so sorry.
Okay, do you want me to take control of the screen?
I do. Yes, please.
Okay. It's not letting me.
Oh, I have this one. So sorry. Bear with me. Nope.
Yeah, it's not letting me share.
Oh, bear with me. Okay. You should have it now.
Okay. Just bringing it up.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, what I'll be presenting is the FY 27 budget. And when we first talk about it, I'll talk about the changes from prior. And then I will then talk about a little bit about what the final numbers were. So for the general fund in the revenue section, the primary change from April was that we've increased our MIDA municipal funding, and we're going to take another $100,000 from MIDA municipal to cover some increase in expenses that we put in over the last month. Some of those include a sprinkler system for town hall because it'll be our disaster recovery headquarters. We had lamp posts in to put around the town, but we have decided that they are going to be electric. So we had another 20,000 for that. And then we're gonna put some new signs at the entrance of Hideout, as well as some signs along 248 to recognize the town of Hideout. So that was another 20,000 we added. And then we added a little bit more for advisory. I heard the mayor talk a little bit about communications and increasing our newsletter, a little bit more for our wildfire, and make sure that we're ready for any fire, and then some in general advisory. So those were the expenses that we increased, so therefore we added some additional dollars from MIDA. And MIDA dollars come into our revenue section. We also had an increase in property taxes, and that was primarily driven by FY 26 had a little bit higher taxes coming in over the last couple months. So we increased our budget for next year to get the additional property taxes in. So right now, we're about $2.6 million, and we're favorable to prior year for $242,000. And that's primarily driven by higher property sales and municipal energy taxes, driven by a 10% higher certificates of occupancy for next year. License planning and permits is an increase in building permits from 70 to 80, 3 new subdivisions, and additional planning zoning fees driven by new building permits and subdivisions. We also had higher interest. So favorable revenues are offset by the reduced utilization of MIDA funds because we're going to not use as many as we did in FY 26. Okay. The general fund expenses. At this point in time, the difference is approximately what I gave to you when we talked about revenue. We added the electric lamp posts, sprinklers, the new signs, and some additional advisory dollars. There is a slight change in some of the numbers as it relates to streets and professional and some grants, because what we decided to do was add a separate section for capital projects, because we want to start tracking those and reporting on them as we go through the year. So some of the capital projects, we've segregated into its own line. You can see in the middle that we're anticipating $133,000 of capital projects, and those were pulled out of the streets, professional, and grants and events. So those are a little bit less while you've got this new category. Salaries and admins are higher due to the 4% COLA. We've got a higher insurance and new employees replacing part-time employees. We also have additional training, repairs and maintenance because we have to put a new roof, or not a new roof, we have to do roof repairs. Professional engineering legal services, and that's predominantly due to an increase in building permits, new subdivision, website development, and engineering projects, as well as higher legal costs for outstanding litigations. Streets are higher due to higher road repairs and some additional snow removal, but some of that was offset by we do not have a loss in sale of trucks for next year. Capital projects, that's the new line item, and that's due to the purchase of street lamps for 60,000, generators for 12. And again, the generators are for the Public Works building and the town hall, because we need to make sure we have an appropriate disaster recovery area we can go to if fire does break out. We also got the fire sprinklers for 15,000, the speed signs for 15,000, and the entrance signs for 20,000. So we're going to be monitoring that, and those will be our capital projects that we are going to undertake next year. We also have an increase in grants, park community events due to the enhancement of trails, parks, additional community events, improved communication tools, and increased grant funding for transportation improvements. We also had the wildfire mitigation, where we didn't spend anything in FY 26, but we're going to be sending approximately 50,000, 55,000 next year. And that's to ensure we are ready for any kind of wildfire. And we want to make sure we've got risk mitigation in place to combat any detriment to the town of Hideout. Unfavorable expenses are partially offset by we don't have a legal settlement in the budget, and we had $350,000 this year, and we obviously do not budget for any legal settlements. that might ensue. Okay, what I'd like to do now is talk about the enterprise fund. The enterprise fund is relatively flat to what we discussed in April. We do have slight lowering of our standby fees because we have more platted properties. And we have not finished our standby fee rate analysis. So we do anticipate those to go up and we'll have some opportunity next year, but we were conservative and we left it fairly flat to this year. So that was the predominant change. And then we had a little bit of change in our revenues in FY26. And because we billed FY27 off of FY26, we had a little bit additional opportunity come in there. So revenues are about 2.8 million and they're favorable to prior year FY26 by about 500,000. And it's primarily driven by service fees to residents for water usage, sewer, storm, and standby fees. Higher sewer and water rates driven by increase in charges from JSSD, and then additional certificates of occupancy of 9.4%. We also had the recent execution of the new fee and rate schedule, and we'll talk a little bit more later on about an increase again in the water fees because JSSD has come out with a 8.1% increase starting June 1st. So it's already in effect, and another increase to make it an overall average of about a 10.2% increase in water rates from JSSD that were announced last couple weeks ago. So favorable revenues are partially offset by, we do not anticipate using any MIDA development funds in the enterprise fund this year. The next slide will be the enterprise fund as it relates to budget expenses. And those are very flat too. We really didn't do much. There was maybe an $8,000 change from prior because just changes in the FY26 moving forward into FY27. So that remained relatively constant. The next, was there a question?
That was me.
Okay. The municipal budget, the good news is we were able to get some estimates from MIDA of what they anticipate our property taxes to be. So we did have an improvement in the property taxes for FY27. It's only about 20,000, about 18,000 on this line, but you'll notice a much bigger improvement in the development fund. And then we had higher expenses when we see that transfer to Fund 10 for municipal services. As we discussed in the general fund, we now know we're going to transfer approximately $191,000 from our municipal budget to the general fund. And just to remind everyone, the MIDA municipal and the MIDA development are due to, we have a MIDA zone, which is included, which includes Deer Waters, Deer Springs, Lakeview, and Claim. Our property taxes go to MIDA, whereas the rest of the town's property taxes go directly into the general fund. So when the general fund needs additional funds to support the municipal operations, the ongoing municipal operations, we take them from the municipal budget, the MIDA municipal budget. And when we need funds for growth and development for the general fund, we take them from the MIDA development fund. So this one is the MIDA, and we're going to need approximately $191,000 from the MIDA municipal budget. And then when we go over to the development, this has improved significantly, this number. We received approximately $770,000 overall that we're anticipating from MIDA, which is a lot more than FY26. But I went back and I looked at FY25 and there was a very nice improvement between FY25 and FY26. As we continue to build the MIDA zone, because Deer Springs, Claim, and Lakeview continue to grow, and now Deer Waters is fully built out. So we're starting to see some really good property taxes come into the development budget. And we can use development budget dollars for the general fund for anything that is growth or development related. So this year, we're getting a lot more property taxes. And our utilization of the MIDA Development Fund is going to go down from the 680 to the 488. And that reduction is predominantly due to us not requesting funds from the development budget for litigation settlement. So you can see we've got some really good news coming in from MIDA Development and MIDA Municipal in the form of property taxes. And we're utilizing those dollars to ensure we can continue to grow the town of Hideout as well as cover municipal costs that obviously the MIDA areas incur. And then the last, there is no change to the Class C road funds. We don't know exactly what we'll get next year, but we are saying that we're going to keep them relatively flat because we have not increased our miles of road reported to the state of Utah, but we don't know if the state of Utah overall has increased the roads. So if we have opportunity, great. If we've got some risk, we'll monitor it. So all in all, not a lot of changes from what you guys reviewed last month. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer?
Yeah, Katie, this is Brian. I do.
Mhm.
Just because of my work on the infrastructure committee, we needed, 236K for pressure regulating valve. To solve a fire, supply deficiency we have at the top of 4-lane 1.
Yeah.
Is that in here somewhere? Cause I can't see where that is.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. In the general fund, we have to record any capital dollars.
Mhm.
And then it goes, you then see it in the general fund, and then it's offset in something we have called a government fund. I won't go into the intricacies of that. But in the water fund actually has a depreciation line. So that $246,000, what we'll do next, when we do start doing it and we put it in operation, we'll look at the remaining useful life of the asset it's associated with, and we will depreciate it over the remaining useful life of that asset. So you can see my depreciation expense did go up by 258 to 277, predominantly due to that 246,000 investment that will probably capitalize, I believe, over 17 years. I'd have to go back and see what I decided on that one.
Okay, all right, so that's why you don't see it as a lump sum because it's.
Yep, you'll never see it as a lump sum. You'll always see it that coming through in the depreciation line.
And then the next question is, last meeting we authorized, 20K for, electrical upgrade, new Vantage lift station, and around 80K plus or minus 5K for the sewer upgrade for line 4 going to that Vantage station. Did that go in the 26th budget or the 27th budget?
My understanding was that's being worked on, and it's in the 26th budget at this point in
Okay, that's
time.
what the mayor and I discussed, but okay, so that's the next time around. All right,
Yep, and you'll see a little bit of depreciation expense because of that one.
same thing. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yep.
Katie, I had one question.
Yes.
You say we don't budget for legal settlements, but do we budget for contingent liabilities?
No, we budget at this point in time for any legal costs that we're going to incur. But the contingency, we don't have any estimate. We don't have a probability, and you have to have both of those to be able to book anything, and you'd have to book it. So we'd actually, if we really knew we had something at this point in time, we would book it in FY26. So I can't budget for something I don't know about at this point in time.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You have to open this up to the public. So if no one on the council, then I would say let's open this up for any public comment. Going once, twice, 3 times, the public, nothing from the public, then I would say move to a motion to accept.
I move we accept the budget for 2027.
Ryan moves to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Carol? And Tanya?
Yes.
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Ryan, yes. Yes. Thank you, Katie. Any
Okay,
other
thank you.
questions? And we'll look for the budget amendment on the special meeting on the 30th, because that has to be done by the 30th as well.
Yes, it's in this presentation. You guys can look at it. It will, what we'll do, this allows us, what we'll do now is we'll just update it for the June results. Because what you're seeing now is through May, and because we've got the additional 2 weeks, we'll do it through June.
I just want to make sure that June 30th is the last day to accomplish that, or do we have additional time?
That is the last day. You have to have it done by July 1st.
It's a
Okay.
hard, yes.
Okay. I guess we can go on to, and Jan is not here, consideration of possible adoption of amendments to the town's consolidated fee and rate schedule. So, I know I went through it, but
So it's your thing, so.
there's really two things, yeah.
Parking fees go down to 240 and 500.
And
And
then
then water rates,
the water rate
based on our, yeah, some water rates go up.
One more thing, for the third time, I have been unable to find the fine. This body passed an ordinance fining people for an unauthorized use of the emergency egress. This would be the third time I've raised this. That $1,000 fine, I'm unable to find. If somebody can find it in there, great. But I can't find it on our fee and rate schedule. And I think that creates a problem, a due process problem, when we don't tell people what the fine is, or the penalty is, if you're violating. So I would like to
People using
see,
motorized vehicles on the.
yes, I can show you pictures if you want.
Well, should we, so, I mean, should we keep that consistent with the rest of our fines at this point, so someone can go out and check and collect?
Well,
Think about that.
my personal view is we need deterrence here. Because if something happens and somebody, and a contractor has their XYZ parked there, and the fire department can't get in, what are we gonna do? So for me, it's about deterrence. I'm not interested in collecting the fine, I don't want the fine, I just want that emergency egress open. But I'm open to being persuaded otherwise on that.
Well, I'm just thinking that we have, if we agree to this situation with interstate, it's coming up in conversations, and it'll just become part of that fine structure, and then we would have compliance officers monitoring, and then finally we would have somebody collecting. Think about that.
No, if you wanna do so, I'm not gonna put up a fight. I would say 500, but a small fine of 250, these are gonna be for generally subcontractors that are on there. These are larger entities than your average individual. So I think whatever amount we choose, it has to be enough to provide deterrence. I don't want it to be just a cost of doing business, because that creates a safety risk for the town, in my view. But I'm open to discussion.
Primarily contractors using their vehicles.
Yes.
And construction access.
Construction vehicles, yeah.
And how do we monitor it now?
Well, we don't, individual residents spot things. I'm an individual resident, I can show you photographs of recent violations.
Should we put a camera up there?
Could, I'd like to see us post some very large signs at each end of the egress.
$1,000 fine?
Yes, and I think I've spoken with
That would-
engineering about it. I'm not sure what the status on the signs are. But we have spoken about that. But for me, it's about deterrence. I don't want it to be a cost of doing business.
So I think what you're proposing is adding a specific fine for violating the emergency access.
Well, we already have that. We passed an ordinance a while back, several months
It's
ago.
on the
that
fee
says-
schedule.
Right, but it never made it onto the fee schedule. It's my
Adding it to the fee
So
schedule.
I'm asking that we put it on the fee schedule.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a due process issue. People should know what it's gonna cost if they're gonna violate our rules.
Did the ordinance-
I'll look into that as well.
Was it?
Did the ordinance?
Yes, it did.
All right, so
No.
it's $1,000, okay, so we can add that with this.
Right.
Yeah, and we can make that part of the motion.
Yeah.
Because the other, we need to start collecting for the water increase, so.
Yeah.
So when it comes time, I can make a motion.
Okay.
There you go.
Anything else on the fees, because there wasn't that much that I saw.
No, I just think people, anybody who might read this or listen to this in the future needs to understand, the reason why the water rates are going up are not because we want to raise it. It's because the Jordanelle Special Service District, who is our water supplier, has been raising our rates. And all we're doing is passing those increases on to the residents. This is not the town willy-nilly just racking up your water rates. It's because our wholesale water rates from JSSD have gone up and keep going up.
And
our
that's
sewer-
And we need to reemphasize that newsletters,
Mhm.
and because it's confusing, I think people don't, somebody, today called me up and said, one of their, toilets had been leaking, and they got a $2,300 bill.
Yep.
And they said, well, because there was a huge number on the upper end of the bill, and so, that's the effect of keeping an eye on the water, I think. And having better monitoring system, but this person did not have the latest,
Leak detection.
leak detection system, so, but in any case, we can still pass the water rate.
Yeah.
Increase here. And we have to open this up for public comment, so, and Carol, did you have a comment?
No, I said, okay.
This was also, I think, did we get the parking fees? Maybe I missed that. Sorry, it was like $240.
Yeah, 240 was what we changed to.
From 500 down to 300.
And then nothing on the standby fees quite yet, I think.
And we just want to make sure that the $1,000 shows up.
Yes.
And how are you turning that, Jonathan? What was the entry? That's
That's
sorry.
for
Unauthorized use of the
It's the
egress.
Emergency egress that runs from Shoreline, right along, the existing lift station. Down or up in a northerly direction towards Overlook Drive. And then that same one makes a left turn, if you're looking south, makes a left turn. We're just beyond the lift station and goes up and connects into Vantage, I believe that is. And so that's the emergency egress. Nobody should be on there. Now, the ordinance provides that if you need to use that, you can get prior written permission from the mayor, the public works director, the town engineer, or the administrator. And so it's very easy to reach out and say, hey, I need to use it for XYZ purpose and get prior written permission. So we have a process that's been established by ordinance. We just need to put the fine, whatever we decide it should be, on the list of fines. Along with it, all of our restaurant fees. And I have one more thing. We have an overdue payments section where it says 1.5% a month. I would propose that we add to that plus collection costs. So that if we have to go to a collection agency, that amount or that cost to the town should be passed on to the violator, not eaten by the town.
Always good. Okay. Given that, let's see if there's any public comment.
No. No
Okay.
hands raised.
Sounds like not, and so we'll close public comment portion. Any additional thoughts or comments before we go to a motion? Do we have a motion?
I would move that we adopt the draft fee and rate schedule as put in the packet with 2 additions. The first one is under overdue payments. We would add the words plus collection costs. And that would be the first addition I would propose. And the second addition would be the $1,000 fine for unauthorized use of the emergency egress. We only have one so far. In the future. Well, good point. Any marked emergency egress. Good point. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second.
What do you say?
Okay.
It's all on the record.
Carol,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
motion passed. And we've got what's in the new fees here?
Hopefully generate some deterrence.
Yeah.
So that we won't have to do this in the future.
Nobody really wants to do
Right.
it.
I prefer deterrence to
Yeah.
enforcement.
maybe we should look at some cameras in the future.
We talked about different use of. Wondering. So. Yeah, I think maybe we need a.
I would volunteer at my house as a location for a camera to monitor the emergency egress. There, I'll supply the power. If the town will supply the camera.
Could I ask who's using this?
These are subcontractors
Oh, they are.
to developers, or the, I'm sorry, the builders. Yeah. You know, I'll show you pictures if you want.
No, I totally.
Yeah,
It's not business,
No,
right?
because our ordinance exempts pedestrians, dog walkers, bicyclists, e-bikes. You just can't use a motorized vehicle
Mhm.
without the prior written permission of someone in town.
Isn't an e-bike considered motorized?
It's exempt. Yeah, but we don't want to restrict e-bike use.
No, well, they're not making it away on fire.
Yeah.
I don't think it was no problem. It's easy to move.
Is it a vote?
So there is a motion to have a little break, and I think that makes sense. So let's take a 5-minute break.
Sure.
Okay. And then we'll go, Maria, to the regular agenda items, right?
Yes. Yes.
And do you need, so we're on break,
Okay.
and what time is it?
It is 7:12 that time. So 7:17, 7:18. Okay,
Well, we're at the point of, the annual audits and the fraud risk assessment, but Spencer is not here, correct?
mm,
Do we have Gareth Lloyd on?
no,
Okay, so let's just skip those. You can go back, come back to them. We will. But for Gareth, we definitely need to follow up on this because it's an important ingredient to what we're gonna do on compliance in the future.
And can we, I mean, I think that can we stop there and let me give a 5-minute explanation of kind of what I understand where we are, because there's been some shifts or something.
Because you went through the agreement.
Yes, yes. So let me explain where we are. As you recall, here probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did an analysis to determine what our jurisdiction is over private roads we were having. And so, with Mustang now saying they're gonna hire their own compliance officers, that's great, because they can go in and do their own stuff inside of their own private roads, okay? We don't have jurisdiction there, and so I think a lot of the stuff that you were talking about is probably up on roads that are probably considered private. With that said, with the roads that are actually public, that would be the only jurisdiction we have. This agreement is where we would be enforcing on our own streets. I don't know if we have enough streets, but I want to make sure that we all understand that distinction from a jurisdictional standpoint. Okay? This contract will only apply to public streets. If there are sufficient public streets out there that you feel like, yes, we do need someone to be an independent enforcement officer, fair enough. The contract was not drafted in a way that we could sign it, and so I redrafted it pretty extensively, actually. The contract would not heard anything back from the contractor. I don't think we're in a condition or a situation today to say that we've got a contract we can approve. So we'll need to table it, work with them, see if we can come to an agreement. But I did want to raise that because I don't know what the percentages are here in the city of private roads. But those are now going to be taken care of by the privateers, the ones who own them. We're now going to have our own enforcement officer. And how many roads are there? Does it make sense to do that? If the thought was, we're gonna have somebody do it in the entire city, that's not the way it's gonna work.
So. I'm trying to think, it's probably easier to say what's private, so Reflection Ridge. Is private. Is Golden Eagle all private roads?
Yes. Yes, mine is, I think the whole.
Okay. Elkhorn will be public, right, when it's built. Sure.
I have to check on that, but I think so.
Pretty sure they, yeah. I think all of Nate's properties are public. Now, what about the Mida land?
So Deerwater is a public road.
Yeah.
I know that the town has accepted Stargazer, and I believe Overlook and Shoreline, because the town is paid to maintain those roads. So I'm
Right.
pretty sure those are public.
And just so
There's
you know,
rings
there's a
is
discussion
public.
on Golden
Is it-
Eagle.
Okay, so that covers all the money.
Golden Eagle, which is the one above Elkhorn, correct? Those ones have been on the plat. The roads themselves have been dedicated to the public. I believe those are purchased and installed by HLD1. But they've not been turned over yet. There's some issues there that they haven't, I think, been formally dedicated, but on the plat they are stated as public roads, and HLD1 really would have jurisdiction over those. So if they're public, then we would have jurisdiction to enforce.
I think the whole idea of that contract that we negotiated last year was that they keep those roads private. And however, the nuance there was the collection of the B and C road funds. And because you can't collect on private roads, we technically kept them public, but they're gonna maintain.
So we'll need to look at that, because this creates, I mean, there's like a lot of different.
That's weird.
Legal questions, I mean, that creates a lot of
Well,
problems.
otherwise the town would be liable potentially for the B and C road funds, which is insignificant now.
Right.
But, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, that could be a lot of money, so,
I think we need
So-
a map.
Well, we would need,
Yeah.
well, and on that case, I mean, because I've been dealing with this, looking at this other issue between Elkhorn and Golden Eagle. On the plat, the roads themselves are dedicated to public use, meaning if we're not going to call them public, we need to do a plat amendment to clarify. You know, we need to think that through, and I'm not familiar with the.
The agreement that, was signed in December. Okay, with HLD. Why don't we go back?
Let's
into
look at that.
this? Yeah, and
So-
then to your point is, we do think we need an inventory of every road in town. Who owns it, what was it, whose responsibility, so,
And you know where it's gonna get really muddy? Is in, the apartment. North End, yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Deer Hollow? Deer Hollow, yeah. On them.
Who should have a-
Our public works has been fixing water stuff. We don't know.
One of the questions that I had, was just a bit of time to discuss it, is. The difference between infrastructure that is owned, operated by HLD one. Infrastructure that's owned, operated by the city. And infrastructure that's owned and operated by private. Yeah, or the.
The developer,
private
the
development,
HOA.
so the HOAs. And I'm not sure that there's a real clear distinction at this point, and that needs to be done, because HLD one, I think, has kind of viewed itself as the city. Well, it's not, and it's gotta put on its big boy pants here. It's going to have to be a district. It's gotta take its own responsibility. for
It's a
itself.
separate taxing unit.
Exactly. So this will be a good opportunity to look at that and go, okay, whose is what? Where are we? And then this, we can look at and go, anything that's a public road, even though it may be maintained and operated by HLD one, I think we still have jurisdiction for parking enforcement from the city. That's not something that HLD one would have to do. So. couple of-
We
I
made
guess
that,
the other thing is, if Mustang takes, or HLD one takes responsibilities to do some enforcement. I don't know if that's gonna be one day, 1 month, one year. That's kind of up to them. We can't control that, so we have to have our own plan in place, notwithstanding anybody else's plan. But based upon who owns the road and who's responsible for the road, of course.
Yeah.
So we need that inventory, and we will review the HLD
We
one.
need an inventory for the contract.
Yes.
and who's responsible for putting that together? Is that a legal task or is that an engineering task?
I would say probably an engineering task, but this is something I've been talking with Thomas and Dennis about. That it's like, I need to understand where the city ends and where HLD one begins. How do we do it?
Excuse me, Thomas is online in case you need him.
Sorry?
Thomas is online in case you need him.
So I think we need to just.
Well, why don't we bring just any comments from Thomas at this point on that subject, because it's probably Dennis and Thomas.
Yes,
And yourself.
yeah, but we'll just need to sit down and work through it and figure that out.
Yeah, but there needs to be urgency. We should know what roads we own and what we don't. And you're telling me we can't sign that contract until we know that. That means people are just gonna keep violating. We got construction happening also. So can the map be ready next meeting so that that contract can be signed?
I'm thinking, ideally, I'd love to have it by the 30th, so that,
Right.
I don't wanna make this meeting like
Yeah.
huge, cause
But
it
it
was.
has to be a priority.
Yeah, I agree, I think, you can't just be sitting here doing nothing.
Right. So what does it take to put the map together? Can that be ready by the 30th?
It might be pretty simple, don't know, but you do have to double check that's on the plat versus what what was said in,
I have I have no idea if it's complicated, I have no idea. But I think that that's a very good goal. Tell us that we need to have it by the 30th, we'll work on it and we'll.
Well, I was doing it today. So I would like to have that enforcement contract ready to roll,
Okay,
right? So I would ask that it be a point of urgency and that you start working on it tomorrow. Whoever that team is, let's just make it happen.
well, is Dennis and Thomas both on?
Thomas is.
Okay,
I'm,
so,
yeah, I think that we can make that happen. I think it's an issue of just ensuring that we compare the paper maps for HLD1 and incorporate that into our GIS mapping. I think that we can do that pretty quickly, yes.
And is the rest of the town on that, Thomas? Is there one map that gives us an idea of the mileage of the roads and who owns them? So the road, the mileage, and who owns what portion of that, so to speak. Do we have
And
that?
I think that we can get that with Dennis and Dan's help. I think that we can pull that together, yes.
We actually just had, I think that was just made about 2 months ago. We were looking for a town map with all the roads. So Dennis says he has that ready to go. We were just waiting to print it out in size. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I'll be there for the back.
So, Thomas, since you're on the line, I'm gonna ask you to be the coordinator of this. I'd rather than Portland, because time costs more anyway. And
I don't have the
so,
expertise, you just, you give me the math and I'm gonna do the contract.
sorry.
I can do that.
No, that's exactly right, no, that's correct.
Thomas, can you take the lead on that?
Sure, I can do that.
And grab Dennis, but you take the lead, so to speak, since you're on, that's, next time you won't be on a call here. But
No, I don't mind doing that. I can easily do that. Yeah.
So Thomas, just this is Brian, one thing, Todd Hollow is a real issue. Public Works doesn't know who's responsible for what over there. And I dug up some notes from our council meetings from years past, where it said one of the roads there is actually maintained by the county due to an interlocal agreement that Todd Hollow has with Wasatch County. I tried to look at their records and they kind of mentioned they had, I can't find the agreement. I don't
Okay.
think we have a copy of it because it's not our interlocal.
anything to add to that?
So that's gonna be a research project.
And I prioritize this, if you know, it's like, go after the most, so if we have 50% of the data, start prioritizing the other 50% in segments that we need to know that. And probably, Golden Eagle might be one, because that's big development, but and so, the Corbin's question, and Corbin, if you have some specifics, maybe you can help some.
Yeah, we'll be talking to,
Do the priority.
yeah, we can work through all of that. Okay, so I think we're where we need to be, so on this one, I would suggest that we simply table it. We put it back on for the 30th and we have our luncheon version.
Okay.
And your contract will be ready on the 30th.
It will be if it's in my hands.
That's yeah.
So, yes, I don't know what the
I heard
edits from Interstate will be, but on my side, I'll have it ready.
Yeah, so can you copy me now on all of that, that email exchange with Gareth at this point? Because I don't think I've been on every piece. So anything you going back on the contracts, please include me.
I will do so. I've only had one.
Because I'm gonna have to run point on that.
Yes, yes, I'll include you in it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Was that it on that? sheet?
Yes, we need a motion to table.
I'll motion to table this until we notice it up at hopefully the next meeting. A second.
Carol
Yes.
and.
Sadly, yes.
And,
Yes.
Yes.
okay.
I didn't know we could qualify our votes.
Oh, trust me, I feel the same way. Sooner we move on this, and it's too bad that Gareth is not online. We're gonna have to deal with this offline.
Yeah, we'll work through, yeah.
You're up next again here on, stop work orders.
Number 4, so I was asked to prepare this. Apparently there's been some issues in the past where as developers come in. There are out-of-pocket expenses, different types of fees and things, and there's been problems enforcing, and from what I understand, they don't pay them. And so the city is carrying and basically being asked to be a bank. And so I was asked to put together a stronger enforcement mechanism that allows us to do stop work orders, to just say, look, you pay, you stop. And so the big change here is I clarified think I made it stronger, and then we added in. That we can do stop work orders if we need to, if they haven't paid their appropriate fees. So that's what we're doing here. You had an opportunity to, I hope, review it. And so unless there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer, but I'm assuming you got an opportunity to review.
No, just a comment, it's very strongly. As a former,
I like it.
as a former enforcement attorney, I like that, because we want to have a strong enough hand
Yep.
to say, pay up or stop, what's your choice here?
Yes.
I hope we never have to use it, but we need that strong hand if push comes to shove.
Well, we can't afford to be a bank.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it runs the gamut from escrow to
does
across the board.
Yeah,
It's very comprehensive.
It's like, no, you
Okay,
pay yourself.
So I make a motion, we adopt this ordinance as written.
Well, second.
A strong yes.
I'm sorry, I did have one question. If there was a violation of the stop order during the stop order period, it wasn't clear to me how that worked. So you issue the stop order, if they show up to work tomorrow anyway. What happens? Do they have an incremental fee that's in that fee schedule?
It's in every day.
Yeah, there's
When
fine.
they find per day.
Per day.
Cumulative.
Is that in that fee schedule?
Uh,
Like, I didn't see
That's a
that
good
in the
question.
fee schedule,
That's a
so
good
like, is that a
What was it?
$100
this
a day?
fee schedule,
One,
the
yeah,
long list.
yeah.
We'll find that for you.
Where that tied out, that's my question. Cause I think that's where you need to.
If we pass the resolution, Corbin, can
We can come back
we
and add.
post add that to the
Yes.
fee and rate
Yes,
schedule?
because there's the stop work. And
Right.
then there's the fee, and we can come back and do the fee, and so that's a good point. I just put down, that we need to look at the fee schedule and we may need to adopt.
Right, cause it should be like $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever, that it's a meaningful thing. Okay, sorry, to
Okay, yep, I've got that down.
back to the count there around. some-
Well, do I need to recount everyone's vote based upon that comment? Right.
No, we're adopting this as drafted,
Uh-huh.
and then the fee schedule adoption will be a separate.
We might need to back and change that.
We would come into the next meeting and have it there.
Okay,
All right.
okay, so we're good with that then.
So Carol voted one strong.
I'm a yes.
Okay, so it was yes, and,
Yeah.
and, you and Justin both.
Yes.
And I was strongly yes.
Maria, are we good on that? Because we have to go back and,
Yes,
okay, wanna make sure.
and a strong yes.
Consistent.
Thank you.
Capturing the,
It's a strong lead.
okay, we got, Dennis is not on, you said, right?
No.
Yeah, and so the whole idea here, we've been working and having meetings on the water. We're still gonna have a couple more, so it's not ready for, for final, vote.
Yeah, I
So
don't see any.
there was really no sense in having Dennis on the call on that one, or Jason. So do we need anything on that?
I would just table it. You do need to adopt it when we finally get that. That's gonna become a crucial document.
Yes.
You need to adopt it. So just table it and we'll bring it back up.
Okay, we don't need to vote on this stuff.
Yeah, you don't have a motion.
Yeah, we have to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move we table it.
I'll second that.
And,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Okay, next one is yours again for them.
Yes, Mayor.
The
that's-
planning commission rule, my suggestion is, I think we talked about this, my suggestion is to. Have the planning commission and town council. During the meeting on the 30th, as we're talking about a number of things, because this affects both the council and the planning commission. But we talk about it when everybody's in the same room, and we can get varying opinions at that point. This is not in the critical path right now, so we could come out of that meeting. And we don't even have to vote on it then, you could change any wordings at that point and then. Call it in the July meeting, and we have the ability to vote. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So just for context, briefly. Our code currently says that the planning commission sets its own rules. And it just has to give notification to the city council. It went through that process recently. And so they have adopted a certain set of rules. In other cities, I've seen it done in different ways, but most of the time, the city council is the one that is in charge of setting those rules. And there's different reasons for that. The council has the power and authority to set the legislative prerogative, right? And so there's some aspects of that where it's top down, not bottom up. Where the planning commission really isn't a body that's like, we're just gonna go out and say, we're gonna redo all the zones and spend a bunch of time when legislative, no. And so some of those rules, and so there was a question about that, the current draft would put that back in the power of the city council. That's what it's doing, straight up, and we can have the discussion when we.
Any comment on postponing the discussion, or you wanna have a discussion now? Any comments on this?
I'm fine with postponing it. I just think the process for creating the rules ought to be collaborative between the planning commission and the council. So, and I like the language in here that said the commission proposes the rules and then the council. That allows for that. I think that's fine. On the other hand, there are separate ones. Generally, so it's kind of odd. My research, by the way, said that small towns in Utah, the majority of them delegate the rules to the planning commission, which is why I think our original ordinance was with that. So I don't have a problem either way. Yeah, I don't think we should be. I don't feel it's our responsibility to set their rules for how they operate. Very clear rules as far as what their responsibilities are versus audit. And they're primarily administrative. There was one case now, you know, as you know, for just a residential development that has no changes to the building or any other facilities, and they can have the fund say, but that's it. So, and I don't have any personal problem with the rules that written. This is the first time they had any rules, by the way. So I think they did a pretty good job. My second comment is, and Carol mentioned this back in September, I think the council ought to have something similar for our rules. I think we ought to have our own rules. We don't have any rules. So. Yeah.
So helping understand the plans and maybe on some of the stuff, what are we talking about when we talk about the rules? So like, specifically, you wouldn't want the planning commission having independent authority to spend money when they have no understanding of the budget. You wouldn't want them unilaterally looking into things that haven't been brought for them. Since the mayor appoints the members of the planning commission, you wouldn't want them to use the rules to circumvent that authority. And then all of a sudden you have like a little mini fiefdom trying to out people. So what scope of rules? It's so necessary that they have to have the independent authority. Like I'm trying to understand the pros and the cons.
So let me explain like some of the aspects of this. So for example, like agenda, what gets on their agenda? So, because we've got a chair, but it's a little different. Most of the cities that I work with, the land use authority is the person that is in charge of the agenda, because all the applications are coming through that office. They know what needs to be put on the planning commission, and so they can talk to the chair, but there's certain critical path they just have to be in charge of, right? Now, the other part of that is a lot of the times, like if the planning commission is interested in something, they're like, we don't like, there's a problem, there's a zoning issue or something like that. Many times that comes from the land use authority, right? They're going, we got a problem with this application. We need to address the change in our code because we didn't foresee this, and they raise that. And normally that's happening with the mayor and agenda prep, where you've got the planning, the land use authority saying, hey, this is coming, so we're coordinating, so this is coming in front of city council, this is what's happening there. But the control of the agenda is in the land use authority, and that means that they, like the chair of the planning commission can't kind of go and say, we want to spend 35 hours, if we've got a paid professional, make them sit through meetings that you guys have no interest in, right? So those are some of the conflicts that we can get yourself into. So clarifying all of that, right? And then there's just the procedural of how meetings are conducted, those types of things. A lot of it is Robert's rules. But there's a few things, and I think that they did a pretty good job of looking at those. So there's kind of two components of that. It's good to have it clarified, so there's no issues as far as that goes. If they have something that's they're interested in, then I normally tell them, go to the planning, land use authority, tell land use authority, and then we come to the mayor, and budgetarily, you need to be looking, going, well, is that something that's gonna cost the city an hourly rate? That's something that we really don't have a planning commission spending time on. That when we've got someone who's overlooking the budget that understands it, we're just gonna authorize them to do it.
Right, that's super helpful. So you're kind of outlining this world of where you have rules that are set by the town council, right? And then you have procedural administrative things that the committee just decides how it operates.
Yeah.
So that distinction, I think, would be
Makes sense.
helpful, right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah,
Is Carol the land use authority? Who's the land use authority?
Thomas.
Thomas.
He's the zoning, he's our
Planning.
zoning administrator.
Okay.
technically.
Okay.
He's, and also, if you think about it, the way we're operating right now, we added something in code which says the planning commission chair must have a monthly meeting with the mayor,
Right.
and which is happening. And then, it also should be with, obviously the land use authority, Thomas.
Yeah.
That could be the same meeting, it could be a separate meeting, right now they're separate, and that's how you get the agenda essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My biggest concern goes back to the finance.
Yeah.
You can't have, you cannot have, committees
Spending
or
money,
commissions going willy-nilly and saying, I need this number of, and just saying, I'm gonna call, Dennis up and I need, 12 hours from you, that's expensive.
Yes.
That cash register kind of brings up quickly.
Yes.
So those are great, that's kind of, that's first concern.
So that's something that should be.
I agree
with that.
Yes.
can you help us with that? Like,
Yeah.
here's the outline of the rules and that's a town council and the
Yes,
procedure.
so I think what we do, what I would tell you is they have rules, and I think they're more procedural that they just adopted.
Right.
So I would say before this next meeting, review those and, Maria, can we get them?
I'll send them out,
So,
yes.
look at those, look at what I just proposed,
Mhm.
okay? And then let's have that conversation, and then I'll know, and we can make whatever edits I need to, and then we'll get it done. Okay?
Yeah, and I'd like to hear what the other folks talk about from the planning. I've been planning commission here, and other towns, as Jonathan has, Brian, I can't remember if you know. Carol was as well.
Yep.
So, we all bring different backgrounds and perspectives. I'd like to hear. But, my concern is we try to state, we have prepared budgets. That's what I'm asking the committees to do. We need to budget. How can you prepare a town budget if you've got 8, entities going off on their own?
So maybe the planning commission should be submitting the budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like committees do.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, anyway,
So this would need to be tabled as well.
So I'll make the motion to table this for a date in the future when it's properly noticed up, discussion. Yeah.
Well, I think we should discuss it in Joe, that'd be a good place.
As long as we notice it up, I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
hash it out.
is there a second?
So that's a second.
Carol
Yes.
and
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Yes,
Moving on. Review and possible adoption of the artificial intelligence policy, which we put together, and I think you did that for Midway to a large extent,
Yes.
so. You present
Let
yourself.
me just walk it through. AI is very important. It's a very wonderful tool. It's going to be used in your city, and so there needs to be some guidelines. There's a couple of guiding principles here. Number one, we do not, from a grandma standpoint, want to ever have a scenario where someone can come in and ask grandma requests for everything that was searched for in AI, right? And there are certain types, enterprise, there are types of accounts that make it very clear you're not using this for training of the AI model. We're not putting are like public information or private information or something out into the public. And so there's some guidelines that are included in that. And then finally, there's the responsibility, right, where it's like, look, whatever you use AI for is fine, the name goes on it. And so don't come back and point a finger at AI if something is wrong. There's an obligation. Yeah, there's an obligation from a physical standpoint. It's like, you can use it as a tool, but it's not an excuse. You've got to review it, you've got to do it. Many of the cities that I'm working with, I mean, the note-taking capacity, the minutes, it's an amazing tool. It really is. But this is just basically putting in place what can and can't, so that we at least have some guidelines. And this, I think we're gonna need to review and revisit once a year. Things are changing so quickly in this area, but this at least gets something in place. I think it's pretty good. And then we'll review it as things change. We may need to tweak it here. So you have a copy of it. I'm hoping that you had an opportunity to review it. I think unless there's any changes or suggestions on it.
I have one suggestion, and I'm a little concerned about, personally identifiable information, PII. We sort of allude to it in here. And we say we allow our certified systems to handle it, but this kind of goes back to our privacy policy, which is just nascent, right? It's just something I'm familiar with as an IT solution architect. We're building systems for the government, they're very sensitive to it. Yeah, so whenever we collect PII, man, there is a whole slew of security stuff that, you know, it has to be encrypted address and limited access and blah, blah, blah. So the easiest way around that is not collecting. So maybe that's one of the things we should put in here, so they're not going, we have a reason to collect any. Now, social security numbers are considered.
Yeah, but we do have,
phone numbers and we do have email addresses.
Right.
And so I believe that falls in the PII category. So we do have limited amounts of PII.
Yeah, the most sensitive stuff is medical information.
That's HIPAA.
And that, well,
PHI.
what's all, yeah, that's under PII as well.
It's social security, it's like
Social security.
payments, credit
Yeah,
cards.
credit card, that financial information.
Bank statement.
That's another level
And I'm assuming, so let's just talk that through. I'm assuming that we don't have one. Whatever system we're using has got to have built-in safeguards, right? And so some of it's probably already going to be dealt with there. And maybe we just say that the policy is you never use anything that's PII in with artificial intelligence. You just don't. I don't see any reason why we would.
of. Right, I can't.
There's, and
That's
so
what I was
maybe we
thinking.
just add in a line that says that it is absolutely restricted. You are never to use PII in with AI, period. That way, it's like if somebody does it, violation of policy, we can come and talk to them and say, that's not, you knew that was not what you were supposed to do. And so I can look at it, I mean, we could probably do a motion to adopt with the amendment that we add in one line that says that you are never to use PII, and then we can get it. And I'll add that in.
So I have a couple of concerns.
Yes.
I don't understand how you can prevent AI from using whatever data you put in. As I understand it, once you give data to AI, it does with it whatever it wants. It uses that to educate itself. It uses that for pretty much other queries. I don't understand how we can box or limit how that information we put into AI is controlled, and then that rolls over into grammar questions.
well, if you pay, let me answer it. I mean, I just worked for the biggest AI company or the second biggest, whatever in the world. And yes, that's why you have commercial oriented AI systems and call it the Chat GPT public. And you can put, you know, just give an example, JP Morgan Chase, huge AI user. Do you think they were gonna allow anything that they have to get out to the public? No. So they put a box around that.
Yeah.
That's what they call a commercial oriented use of AI. So, yeah, they can control that by their own box of what's allowable data inside and outside the transit, whatever transit they're using the network. And mostly they put a box around the data that they have. They, any company like that, it's gonna want other data, but never releasing their data.
Can we do that as a tiny little town?
As a tiny little town, if you buy the commercial version of this and you do it correctly, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Right now, probably the only person that's using AI is me. And so I did it for about 3 different things. One was to create the comprehensive emergency management plan, which you're obviously very familiar with. You had a meeting this week on, it formed the basis, but I gave the
The
AI.
paid version of Claude, though.
I use the paid version of Claude.
The free versions are no.
Well, the free versions are crap.
They are,
Excuse me.
they are.
So that's the way you put the box on this, and I think, to your point, I think we should you alluded it to in your document on how to do that, but I think we need, whether it's in the document or not, the town has to be, treat itself like a commercial entity here and
Protect all that.
and protect that information, and as it should. So we could put that provision in, yes. I'm thinking, I know you had some comments and we could add some edits. Can we postpone this one more?
Sure.
Yeah.
And just
I
to
think
get
there's
back to
too many, there's
Yeah.
a number of items that I noticed in there that I said, I gotta go back to this. And maybe even look how we did this at AWS and how we did this with our customers. Because we will be a customer of AWS, because Anthropic runs everything, most of their stuff on AWS. So
Right.
if you think about it, there's this back end, it's all integrated. And so like saying that you won't have it out on some system is possible to do, because you've got a cloud that keeps all the data. So we just need to put some provisions in here to say Hideout is gonna box this
Yes.
appropriately.
And based on what I understand, it's a designation right now, like they call it an enterprise account or a commercial account, or there are certain things, and this is brand new. But current little case law is kind of saying, if you have made it clear that you're not allowing them to use your data for training, and you can mark that. And that you have a certain type of an account that, then it's not grandma requestable, it's not something that they can come and get, right? So that's at least step number one, and then, like I say, we're gonna be watching this. This is developing right before our eyes.
Under what grammar exception would that fall? I'm having trouble getting my hands around. It's a person using the authorized account, which is, in case for boxes.
Yeah.
And so now they make a request of XYZ. Why is that not, it's a document that when it comes back. I'm gonna have to keep that document, I think. And how is that, what exception or grammar applies to that? Is it a draft? Is it preliminary?
What he says in this is that any AI generated documents have to be verified and or edited
Yes.
by a human. But so it's a draft form, it's not a final form. So the question is, does grandma cover drafts?
It does. I mean,
It
it
does.
does, you don't release that usually, right? Depends
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'd be the draft exception to grammar.
And right now, I mean, like. My knowledge, you can't command grandma request every Google search that someone has done, right? It's like the searching component of that, it's not. And that's what we're saying, because that's what you're doing with AI, right? You're going in, you're doing a bunch of queries. It's like, nope, you don't get to go and look at everything that I've ever done on Google.
That's also not a document, right? So I think that's sometimes where we get the mix up with the, give us the information. But it has to be, it's not just a Q&A, do you have a record that
Well,
follows?
the question, if you consider the results of an AI query to be a draft document, which they are, by definition, they're not verified, right? Once you edit that, verify it, whatever, modify it, make a final version of it, the final version is grammable, but do we have to grandma draft versions? You can have 18 versions of
Yeah,
a document.
and that's-
Why would you care about that?
You
Because they're not legal
You can
documents.
see where where this is right now,
Yeah.
gray area. it's developing, and based on what is out there right now, this policy is, you know, the cutting edge of what we know. So I would say we at least adopt this, and we can come back and do it in the next meeting. Let's make some edits, think about it
I
carefully.
need to look at this a little bit closer
Yes.
from my end, even though I went through it. On the draft side of things, we don't have a document management system or a records management system. And when we do, you could have drafts in there, but more likely it's the final version of the documents that get into the records management and they become fully.
Right, you don't save any
Yeah.
drafts.
Yeah.
So,
So
one
save it on your local system. You
Right,
might
right.
even save it on the, your OneDrive, your cloud.
No, right, right.
But it doesn't become grammatical at that point until we get into a records management.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar to like the work product document for attorneys, right? It's like, no, you don't find me writing some note like this guy's you don't get my notes.
So how do we ensure then that whoever is going to be using this restricted account, is that the right terminology? Forgive me, guys, if I'm a bit of a Luddite here. So how do we ensure that anybody who's an official or an employee of the town who uses AI, uses the version or the license for the boxed in?
Well,
How do we
and that's
do
what
that?
the policy is saying, is you have to.
You have to. yeah.
So it's like.
Practically,
this
how
is
does that work?
Well, you would have to have each one of them, I think on these enterprise accounts, you would have individuals like a Google account.
Okay,
Yeah,
Right.
it's theirs, it's
Mhm.
internal to the city's offering,
Yeah.
they're doing whatever they do.
So we have a number of
under the
licenses.
city. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and we budgeted for FY 27 to do exactly that. But I think we probably need some stronger controls. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I know Drew Chapman, he's the head of data and AI for the state. I asked him if I met him and we had a nice long conversation. I said, maybe you'd want to come in and talk to us.
Oh, they do.
How you doing?
The state of
We'll go
policy.
through the same stuff. He
Yeah.
presented at the ULCT conference in St.
This problem,
George.
this problem is gonna solve.
Yeah, well, it's, yeah,
Or at least,
yeah, it's
at least
like,
it's in
it's all
process.
today and
Yeah.
tomorrow needs another solution because it's evolved.
If the state has a.
well, I
But
can
maybe
tell
we
you,
grabbed Drew and we adopted.
Yes, we
Yeah,
get,
we
we
did
get in
some
place.
yeah,
But we grabbed Drew at some point because I think it's, I am gonna be using a fair amount of AI. I can tell you that right now because I've already generated 3 docs, which would probably take a ton of time
Yeah.
to generate.
it's a huge time saver.
So, and I've been.
And as you know, well,
Huh?
I work.
Pay for it.
Well, I'm using my pay account.
Further answer.
Until I pay for that, part, I don't know.
I would like to express a concern. My concern around this, and I think you did a nice swag at this, because this isn't easy. But I feel like governance is ahead of operations. So if I look at operations for the town, we don't have a document management system. I'm pretty sure we don't have an acceptable use policy, which outlines what you can use. I'm not sure if we're using AI in a co-pilot or a contained environment, right? So it's out there. Do we have a retention policy?
You're right on all
This
this.
is
stuff.
sweet.
We have no retention policy.
Right.
We have the state's retention policy. We adopt what the state does, so that we do have one. Yeah, for our
So
documents,
there's
yes.
Foundations that you build your AI policy on top, and we don't. I mean, I see where you're really trying, but if I don't understand as a town employee, when I come into work and I log on, what is the AI environment I'm open
Well,
to?
right now, we're a mess. I don't, I mean.
Everybody, so what's happened is, it's started to be mass adoption over the last 5-6 months, okay? And every individual person that's working for the city has their own individual AI account, and if you don't think they're using them, you're wrong. And so right now, it's the wild, wild west with associated risk, right? So now we're at least saying, no, you're not gonna go and use your own, that's a bad idea. And so whatever you do, we're gonna do it under a city, and so we're starting to kind of get our arms wrapped around it, but there's. I mean,
Right, there's
everything
all
that
that-
you've raised, but we're trying to control at least existing risk. with
I'm
people
worried
using
about-
their individual ones.
So what I'm worried about is the foot fault in our own policy, which compounds the foot fault that I'll have anyway. You know what I mean? Like I've written a policy I can't live up to, because operationally I don't have the systems that allow me to do that.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. that
Uh,
makes
So
sense.
We
that's
don't
what I'm
have,
worried
we
about.
don't have a records management, document management system, so your retention policy is useless. Unless you do it manually every day, which is,
We're not-
Wrong way to do
we
it.
don't have the staff.
So
So
we're
you
keeping
put some
everything,
budget
but we
for that
can't
too,
find
didn't
it.
I did put budget in for the doc system.
Yeah.
And to your other point, which is very important, we have to have a list of applications that are acceptable and not acceptable. These are acceptable applications that we can use, and these are, and so even with AI, you know,
Right.
Claude has 5 different versions of
Right.
Sonnet, and
Mhm.
they just announced a new one yesterday.
Yeah.
So we have to have some kind of policy.
But that's how you'll lock it down, right?
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
So when you're purchasing this document management suite, is there Microsoft that we can buy at 360 or whatever the Google product is, like pick one. And then we have the AI that's within that, and we can put the box around it, the firewall. So their
Quite
stuff comes in, but our
frankly,
stuff
it has
doesn't
to
go
be
out.
Done, the system work, it has to be done together, have to make sure they're compatible when you buy them.
Exactly.
I think that's
Yeah.
important, yeah. So the privacy policy, the document management and retention policies and the AI policies all need to work together.
Yeah, and we need, so this is a policy document here.
Yes. Maybe we need a
We
little,
need an operational,
we may need a little,
so-
fire team to go look at this, right?
yeah, and,
By iManager, buy something that's everything.
and that's what I was thinking, we either bring like a Drew or someone like that. You know, another guy is really good. I know Don Wood, he is the IT director for the county. And Don bought one of the systems that I was involved with years ago. And so the counties, and now he's going AI, because I talked to him personally. He said, I'm entertaining what we need to do at the county level for incorporating AI. They have a much, and I was
Maybe
just.
a
gonna go-
license
bigger problem
from what they've got.
That's what I was thinking. I was gonna say, can I draft off of what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
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 Because if he
Put a
goes,
firewall up for hideout and they've got the sound.
no, I mean, yeah.
Or at least replicate.
Or whatever the.
If
whatever
it's on
the-
AWS.
So when you go to the county system, you'll see a tag at the bottom of the page, and it'll say powered by Highland or On Base.
Mhm.
That's the system. It's a
Okay.
global company, you know, big, you know, so they're one of the top 2 companies in the world. That's what they, I think we draft. And maybe I just copy, I hate to say it, you know, I'm a plagiarist. You know, plagiarize what those guys said. But Don's already got.
Or whatever the state is
Well,
using.
the state could be too big, you know,
Yeah.
the county could be just the right.
County would, but if we could piggyback
Anyway, I
their
would like to be involved. By
licenses.
the way, many years ago, I was in charge of developing the diversity outside of the archive for a while. They do it. That's really old technology. No, I had to go through the whole
Well, you have to go
retention
back
and
to the IBM
provenance.
system.
Yeah, I know, but.
So
And by the way,
With this?
we're tabling this, and then I think there's a lot more to
we
this.
need a little tiger team, so.
So I'll make
I'll
the
look.
motion that we table this to a date certain when it's been noticed out appropriately, so that we can refine it further.
Into operations.
Second,
Who?
We have a second. She's
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
you did.
Time it.
Sorry. Sarah,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and.
Yeah.
Yes,
Next one is yours as well.
Yes, so we walk through.
Run through the spotlight.
Yeah, we'll get some stuff off the desk here. So, this one came up, as you recall, because we've got, someone who wants to come and talk to the Economic Development Committee. Felt like they had some information that was protectable, and so they sent us a non-disclosure agreement. It was not grandma compliant and wasn't something that we could do, so I researched that and we've now proposed a grandma compliant one that the city has, that if they come to us, we'll just give it to them. And we kind of did a kind of trial run where we sent it out to him and he was like, great, I'll sign it. There you go. So all we're doing here is reviewing and considering for adoption. This is our standard approach. So that if you've got a developer coming in and saying, well, I feel like I've got protectable information, that's great. Here's our approved standard form NDA, that's grandma compliant. You sign it. And then we'll do it. And it makes it very clear that lots of people think they have protectable information that really isn't. But we're saying we'll protect that which is, in fact. And so this is based on my research, we can protect it as much as possible under the grandma. So that's what we're doing. So we're just saying, you guys got this, then we know the next time this happens, it's like, great, here it is, sign that. And we're, and they have to tell us what the information is and what they think it is protectable and all that kind of stuff.
Is that in the packet? Cause I'm trying to find.
Did I not circulate that? Oh, I
You
apologize.
did, I think you did. Hold on, so that was me. Bear with
If
me.
it's not, then we can table this. I apologize. You need to review it. And so I do have it drafted, so we can table this. I'll review it, have you guys read it, and we'll bring it back and get it on top of it.
I think we should probably have a policy discussion. That is, if what is it that a developer has that is truly proprietary that no one else has? They've got their idea, got their concept maybe, but as a matter of policy, I think we should narrowly draw what we should agree to keep confidential, because the grandma's out there. And I think as a general policy, the town should be as transparent as possible. So if we're gonna protect something of a third party, I think we should really narrowly draw that. And limit that, because I don't want some developer saying, well, my whole idea is, no.
And you'll see that's exactly. So I think, and I apologize, but why don't we do this? Take a look at the language, because exactly what you're talking about. There's only certain things that we actually can do in grandma, and it's very limited. And so I think that what we've got there is gonna be exactly what you're talking about. Take a look, we'll bring it back, and if there's questions, we can talk about it.
So one quick thing, in the private sector, you often see the onus is on the party submitting information to say, I consider this confidential.
That's exactly what happened. Right.
You can do that then in this.
So
That's exactly what it does. Is
they stamp whatever they claim is
Yeah.
confidential.
Yep, so this is what it is, we're claiming that this is confidential, all this kind of.
And
that's
even
exactly
at
right.
that, and so I've done hundreds of these. That if that at the time of the meeting is confidential, as soon as they make that semi-public, then it goes
Right.
out the door.
That's your.
So,
Yeah.
and we need a time bogey on it as well, so usually no more than 3 years that you can force this.
Or
6 months.
if they submit it publicly, whichever comes first.
Yeah, and basically what it boils down to is,
Probably is.
You would think.
as long as we don't disclose it. Yeah, that's what we're saying, we won't do it, but if you guys go and send it out to the world.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, no, it was no longer protected.
Yeah, and for the EDC, there's a lot of futures. So they're thinking, it's not like submitting a plan here for an annexation, like, Travis claiming, it's more of for the EDCs, it's very futuristic. They don't know if they even have the funding. These are rough ideas. It's really hard to protect
I don't
that
think,
stuff.
yeah, I mean,
I
honestly, we were sitting there, I'm looking at it going, I can't imagine, it's like, I wanna come in and put in a whatever, this kind of store. Good for you, that's not protectable information.
Right.
But for whatever reason, this particular person was insistent that they had protectable. I'm like, okay, well then here, you can, go through this process and we'll at least have something that's a standard form that we'll give you. But I just don't see this coming up.
Yeah,
often.
we gotta push back on that. And I don't, what I think the counterpoint to this is one of those people. Wanted to bring their own NDA. We can't,
And we were
we
saying,
will not
no way.
sign other NDAs,
No
we have to have our own.
Yes.
And usually it's the party in the most powerful position, like you know, at AWS, everybody signed our NDA.
Right.
No matter how, almost, no matter how big they were, and that's what the position we want to be in.
Yes.
What
Light
happens,
also do the same thing.
what happens if the presenter, you know, claims that everything is proprietary, things that clearly fall into grandma? What practically happens if they go beyond the scope and they fall into the grandma category? I mean, is it up to us to alert them? Is it their problem because they've gone past grandma? Are our responsibilities subject to grandma?
Well, yeah, and we put all of that in.
No,
Yeah, and there's a part of this where it's like, we have the capacity to say, we don't consider that before you come and talk to us, like, we don't think that that's.
Okay, I need to get a look.
Yeah.
at that.
Don't
Take a
we
look at it.
usually say confidential information is X,
Mhm.
confidential information is not
Yes.
Y.
Uh-huh.
And Y
Right.
would be anything you're compelled to
Yeah.
produce
That's
as long as.
exactly right. Yes.
So that,
Right, if it's
is
in there,
that enough to, yes,
Yeah.
cover it? Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll stop asking dumb questions and read the document.
Yeah.
So we're gonna table, we're tabling this
Table that
one.
one. Yeah.
Can I get a motion on tabling this?
So, oh, go ahead, Carol.
I'll second.
Jonathan,
Yes,
Carol, second. Brian,
yes,
and Carol,
Yes.
John.
yes.
I think the next one is yours, but it's also really a lot of what we're gonna do on the 30th.
And let me just, so I have promised to circulate a list, and that keeps getting pushed to the bottom because I keep getting flyers that I'm trying to put out. So, I do have a list that I have created, generated of potential topics. I need to circulate it so you can look at it and tell me what else you need. Based on a discussion tonight, I think we need to put water rights as one of the first ones. I just did statewide training for people on water rights. I can take care of that for you. And it would be good for everybody.
Remember, affordable housing was one of the
For affordable housing, and so let me circulate, I will, let me get that one, I just need to get it attached. So that you can look at it and tell me what your thoughts are and priorities, and then we'll get that set, and then we'll start getting dates and we'll start doing training.
I'd like to request of the council that a priority be communications that the committees are having and the people who are running these committees, because they're happening now. And I just want to make sure that as town council, we don't overstep it from the legislative hat into the executive hat and somehow trigger liability for the town. Because I'm not sure where that line lies, and I'd appreciate knowing that.
Okay. Okay.
Don't
I
mind.
did some work on that here recently, so yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's always been, yeah, been on EDC, which is again, one of the more sensitive situations, because people were talking about futures, not, you know, and nothing, you know. Currently
Impressions, yeah.
concrete, so to speak. And ideas are, you know, important. You know, it was difficult for the EDC, I think, to manage that piece and how we should do that. So I don't know what other towns are doing. I tried to find out when I was, you know, with the EDC is, and what kind of wrapper, what kind of parameters can we put around this? So that for one, the committee notes, so, you know, you and I talk, but, so what, you know, when we wrote the committee structures, committee chairs are supposed to produce every quarter, at least a minimum of one meeting with notes and a budget. Those are the three things I wrote that I thought were key. But, you know, minutes for an EDC sometimes may be, you know, redaction, so to speak. And so Corbin, can you weigh in on this?
Yeah, and I actually did some stuff, because the big question that I dealt with months ago, and I need to go back and look at the memo, was we've got members of the city council that are chairing these committees. Right? And then there's the question of ex parte and liability going, we're talking to a developer and they're going, yeah, we're gonna, and so based on my discussion with you, I went and spent $50,000 on engineering so that I could, and like, that wasn't a promise. that wasn't anything like that.
Right.
And how do we insulate, because there was a deep desire to say, we do wanna talk with developers. We feel like we can resolve problems, but then you've got this problem of you're gonna sit and make decisions on the same thing, and we don't want people going, that was a backdoor deal, it's like, yeah, those kinds of things. So I did.
So
some
one
work
thing
on
we
that.
could do is, so I know when I opened the meetings up with a potential app, somebody who came in with an idea. We have no real authority here, so and then we end the meeting at the same point. But maybe we just, officially send them an email to that effect, write something up and ask for their response and reply and recognition. You come up with something along
Disclaimer,
those lines.
basically.
Yeah.
These are informal discussions, they're not, you cannot rely on them to your detriment. No promises can be made, all decisions are made by the appropriate government bodies.
Sometimes we go, oh, I think we can do that,
Yeah.
offhand, and then, like Corbin saying, somebody says, oh, but you guys. And I've had that happen, even here on the EDC, and then I just started saying. You have no official authority, you can talk to us for advice and thoughts and, conversation, and, we wanna help you. And then at the end of the meeting, we reinforce that, we have no official authority, it's the town council and, town council, really.
Maybe part of it go up with a very simple disclaimer that we are getting.
You wanna get in front of the EDC,
Mhm.
you send them an email, it says that, and you say, I want a response verification. Confirmation back that you understood that this is no findings that are.
Before we go to the signature block, right, that's part of the disclaimer.
I've written-
Email that goes out about it.
You're being the subcommittee, let me look at that, see if we can use them. I do know that I looked at this 2 or 3 months back in this context, I'll go back and look at what I did as well, so I'll get that for you.
So if we ever have developer relations, that would be that fine. That's right.
Of course, right, because we don't have any individual authority to promise anything. None of us can spend any money, except for Ralph. But no council,
Anyway,
yeah, can't spend any money, we don't have any authority for that, can't make any promises other than the illicit. And there is no deal that comes out of this, because generally speaking, the council has to make the vote.
I mean, the heart of the question, are we structuring things right by having the town council?
And that was.
That is the
question.
part of.
Yeah, that's where it's like, can we, the easiest answer is, you don't put your city council members on committees, you got no problems, right?
Yeah,
Cause they have they're recommending bodies, that's it. But I understand that it's like, well, we do want to have that interaction if we can, and it's like, well, let me look at that. and see
Just
if-
disclaim the apparent authority.
Yes.
I think what we need to do.
it's like saying you're taking your most invaluable employee and not having them be part of.
Right.
The sub businesses that you have,
Yeah.
that makes no sense, I understand we're a municipality, so, and we have limitations, but. If I wanna be an active participant with our partners.
Yes.
Whether they're a developer or otherwise.
Yes.
That makes us more effective as a town going forward,
And
so.
and council members are cheap.
And yeah.
We are.
Mayor's
Also
cheap
free.
too.
They are. We're the cheapest employees around.
Unbelievable. And before we get off this, Maria, you wanted to get a straw poll on who is gonna attend
Yes,
the
please.
30th.
5 o'clock.
So I'll do that.
I'm definitely, Rachel's gonna be there too.
She said she polled everybody on the
Yeah.
planning commission, they all planning.
Yes.
Annie, can you do that?
I think I can, but it will be a short meeting, is that right?
I'm thinking 5, well, we keep adding some of the
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
And we'll never get to the topics that we wanna get to.
2 hours? 2 hours? Less than 2 hours?
5 to 8, something like that.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can make it. No, I'm just kidding. I can't.
I can definitely be here for the first
Okay.
hour. I may be a little iffy after that. I actually have a work meeting that evening.
Okay.
But I know that there's some key things we need to get through, like.
Well, the votes will be in the beginning.
Yeah.
We don't need to do AI for that meeting.
Yeah.
In that limited.
But if we get the
We can
enforcement
push
thing
that,
done.
so, but I would like to see compliance as part of that.
Yeah, without a doubt, so I'll get it done.
Cool.
Well, I'm a definite maybe. I have family in town, so I gotta double check with my official schedule to see exactly when I'm available.
Your social secretary.
Well, anything that's requiring a vote, we'll do in the first
All
hour.
right, good.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
And, okay.
Does anybody know about Peter? I think after the 18th, right? Councilmember Ginsburg?
Yeah, I'm sure, I think he comes back, a couple of days, so. He should, he'll definitely be back, but
Okay.
unless he's moving to Italy.
He may decide to, right? Who knows?
I think we're getting pretty close to, do we have anything that we missed?
Yes, the minutes,
Oh, yes, let's do the minutes, yeah. We really, so the minutes, just for the public knowledge was, we actually went through all these minutes. We passed them, but we didn't do it properly.
right.
So we want to go back and have a proper motion on the group of minutes. And can you just reiterate what those minutes are, make sure that it's on record that these are the minutes that we're going to either approve or not approve?
Sure. And when we go through these, just when you make your motion, just maybe make that motion, with the a motion to approve with changes as discussed at that meeting that have already been made. But anyway, so that would be the town council minutes of July 10th, August 14th, 2025, September 11th, 25, October 9th, 25, October 29th, 25, February 12th, 26, November 21st, 25, December 3rd, 25, December 17th, 25, and January 8th, 2026, and February 10th, 2026. Those will be the ones that you're kind of reapproving. And then just for the record, March 12th, April 9th, and May 6th, those meeting minutes were not ready, and we'll have them on the next agenda.
So based upon that, do we have a motion for approving those minutes with any comments that was associated with them?
I would move that we reapprove the minutes that we previously approved, including, to include all of the revisions that every member of the council, including the mayor, requested.
Jonathan makes second, 1 second. Carolyn,
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
that's.
Yes.
Yeah, we got the minutes, and, what time does it get, by the way? 8:30. So could we knock off a few comments on, there were some mayor's comments and some committees, so, I would just like to say a couple of things, if anyone else have anything to jump in on. I just wanted to say, we're making progress on our comprehensive emergency management plan. We've had several meetings now, and I am hoping that we can get this out in the next probably no more than 60 days, hopefully sooner. And there's a lot of stuff that goes in with this that's necessary for the town, including this building, so to speak, but that's in the works. I'd still like to see us have a water conservation working group. And the latest newsletter will reinforce the fact that we are in stage 2 of 4 stages, starting from stage 0. And there are requirements for residents in the town to meet, so that newsletter is coming out. And then on the topic of newsletters, I think I mentioned that we'll do twice a month newsletters, maybe short. And then we've been having obviously lots of meetings around wildfire and the wildfire committee. I know we're not getting into committee, but I just want to reinforce that if anybody hasn't seen it, we're making progress on the firehouse, so. You want to add anything?
Just currently the water conservation working group is under the percent. You want to people to inform that.
No, I was looking for volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. That was my next question is, we need some volunteers for it.
Well,
We got a bunch of work.
in the newsletter, I'm looking for some volunteers. So
Okay.
let's see what happens in the next few days. You know, the way to get volunteers is you go out and recruit, but anything else, right? Can we get some people, Alicia Susan, who lives up with, who's up the Wolf property. She, when she was running for council, or thought about running, she mentioned that she would, so.
Water
you know,
conservation
gotta
is a-
call her,
Yeah, yeah.
she's not gonna, go out and re-volunteer unless somebody comes and says, would you like to be a part of this? And, so anyway, it's just like including EDC. So that's my piece. I don't know if Thomas is still on for any committee updates. Thomas, if you're still on anything on
Yeah,
planning
yeah.
commission?
Yeah, just with regard to planning commission, Maria Corbin, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're aiming for potentially a joint work session with council and planning commission on the 30th of this month with regard to housing, affordable housing, et cetera. Is that still on the books, Maria?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, it is.
So yes, that's correct. And that effectively replaces the planning commission's meeting this month that was just going to really deal with general plan issues. So that will be a joint work session with you all on the 30th.
Anything else, Thomas?
I think that's about it, actually. No, no major applications or anything coming in, so that's really the next item on the planning commission's itinerary for this month.
Brian and Jonathan?
Yeah, so on the IPSAC, well, last month we passed the final plans for stormwater and for sewer. This month, we've got a draft final plans for the water system. And there's only one project proposed there, which we just budgeted, which is for little south of $250,000 for a new pressure regulatory valve, which will actually sit at the top of Reflection Drive. Because Reflection Drive, which goes all the way down almost to the shoreline, that same water line goes all the way up to the top of 4 Lane 1. So there's a several 100-foot difference, and there's over 100 psi difference pressures, and so Reflection Ridge is actually too high, and Shoreline 1 is too low. So we put a regulatory valve in there. It turns out the rest of it's actually, I think, Rustler and Shoreline 1.
So that will serve multiple,
Yeah,
yes,
yes, it will.
That's good.
That'll allow us.
A lot of money for.
And the valve is it's the fact you gotta put a vault in and you gotta install it, so.
That's an engineering estimate. That's not a quote from a vendor. Hard to do it.
Correct. Although. Hal. Based that on their current. Work they can do it. Okay, so it's their engineering estimate, that's a reasonable. We think, I mean, we'll find out when we build it, right? But it's a serious problem we've had for a while. We don't have enough fire flow. At a peak day in 1, and we're in danger of overpressuring. We're already overpressured by 20 psi for the bottom of Reflection Ridge. JSSD at the time it was built, they allowed 150 psi, we're 140 something, and the current town code is 120. So we really do need the boost. We don't want to reduce the other. The only way to do that is with a.
Is that one valve or do we have?
That's well, it's all on one valve now, that's the problem, right? And it's driven by the need to meet the very minimum requirement in Shoreline 1, it doesn't quite do that. It does for general water pressure, it's just a 40 psi, which is still complaining, the residents have been complaining since day one. We'll get Jackson over here, because that's the pressure at the lower level. The showers are at the second level, and they're a good 5 psi lower. If you turn on a faucet or flush a toilet, your shower drips. So my residents have been complaining to me for about 3 years.
That extends.
That's
to
just a
the-
quality of life, but the real issue is the fact we don't have enough flow fire to fight a fire.
Yeah.
If we were at a peak usage. So. So we've been living on borrowed time for 7 years. Quite frankly, I don't know when when the decision was made to do Reflection Ridge, but it should have had its own regulatory valve. It's much lower than the purpose. It didn't, so town approved it, so. Anyway, we're still waiting on the revised water audit data for how much source we actually have, like to finish that report. So that's why it's taking.
Okay,
But
Well-
it's ready to go except for that.
yeah, that should be done in the next 30 days, so.
Yeah.
So, unless some, something.
And you talked about the SIP, I mean, that's really good stuff.
Okay,
That's coming along.
Jonathan, anything else to add on that?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, Ken,
On the EDC, I will say for the record, we have no formal minutes yet to submit on any EDC meeting because we've been trying to figure out who we are. So we have 3 members to date that have signed confidentiality agreements, 2 other members that I'm still talking to. But what we've decided is we'll have this umbrella concept of an EDC, but the individuals that are participating today will be given project assignments to work on. So rather than try and have a shotgun approach or like, what are we gonna do to change the world from an EDC perspective? It was like, okay, let's focus on items that we've got and try and make them successful. So one project will be working with Ralph on Richardson Flats. Another project is going to be looking at Ross Creek, reviving some of the prior thoughts from the RFI that was done, see what's viable there. And we'll continue a project assignment approach until we really get some traction and have some success. And when we figure out where we have success, where we have skills, then I think we can get more strategic on what we go after. So that's where we are right now.
yeah, and I'll add to, one of the things that we're talking about yesterday or last week, I can't remember, is still trying to put together a multi-dimensional group that would work with Rich Walter, who owns BlackRock. I'll say this publicly because he has shown interest. And I'd like to see the town work with Rich and talk about what we were just talking about in our partnerships. It's a great example. So, but that would even go beyond EDC because it crosses over into, he's got an event venue. He wants to see what kinds of things that we could co-participate with in that basis. So, there could even be some my point is, there could be some like committees that kind of cross-pollinate with one another and could function on this, trying to go after something. Again, I know we're a municipality, we're not a business here, but
You say like the events committee.
yeah, so the events committee was part of some of those conversations, and I can say that because I think that's the next one up. But anything else you wanted to add? Yeah, and that's exactly where I would lead into, even though Peter's not here, Peter's in Italy. So that was a piece of the events. We actually, had a nice couple of discussions to understand how we can take advantage of maybe doing some events over there. Community mahjong, call it, just things that create community and potentially we could have meetings there instead of here. So it was nicer.
We could deliver
We
pizza.
can even get pizza. So.
All funeral potatoes. They're now on the menu.
So anyway, we're looking for some wider things and maybe even where we have some, yeah,
I think they could be an evacuation center too.
they could be an evacuation center.
They're
They
close
got-
and they're
they-
big,
they
and
would-
they have all the facilities we need.
So there's no doubt we would love to see them participate as being part of
I do
HIDOT,
too.
and I want to continue that effort and make that public. That's, it's for, so wherever you are, Rich. If you're listening
We're with
in,
you.
We're with you, and I think the essence of these committees, then we can connect some committees to do things like that, and, we come out as a stronger town and a stronger set of ideas. Anyway, more food for that, not too much on the communication side. When Peter comes back, we're gonna do the website, redo the website, more newsletters. We've talked about doing texting and email. So we're buying Constant Contact on the email side, if anyone's familiar with that, and probably easy texting so that we can text more to our, to the residents. So kind of all that flows together.
Could I ask a question? And it's about what if there is a wildfire? And how are we notified and where do we go? You talked about Blackrock being an evacuation center. I know that we got some information that Wasatch County would be notifying us, but how?
You have to sign up for their notification program.
It's actually the Everbridge free app, which you should already be signed up to. So
Ever,
you plug in.
EVER with the word bridge, it's all tied together.
Right.
If you just go there, it's free.
Yeah.
And, you can probably go to the county website, but everybody in town should be, whether they live here full-time,
Part-time.
or part-time, they should be, and now some people might say, well, but I'm in Florida 3 months a year, I don't wanna be bothered. Well, their house.
If your house burns down.
Might be here, and if they are.
I'd be more
here-
concerned if you're not here, quite frankly.
So we get the notification,
Yeah.
but where do we go? It's just, we go, just get up.
You go jump in the lake.
So,
What?
Well, it depends.
Well, that's true, the lake may be dry.
It's emergency, it's
Yeah,
it's emergency dependent.
Yeah.
And the county will help us identify that proper set of items that they're gonna get involved with to help us perform our evacuation.
Right.
Our evacuation starts right here.
Mhm.
By the way, with this group, we've given you all jobs in the emergency management plan.
You've been-
Everybody on the council will be first line possibilities, and it goes me, you, Jonathan, Brian, and then probably you two. We want people who live in town. We can't have our town staff who don't even live, they live in
Right.
Camas, so we gotta be the responsible parties. And this plan will lay out the steps, it will lay out the who, it will lay out the contact points of all of that. Now, we're all pretty close, but as a resident, I would sign up for Everbridge right now.
Right now.
So I would urge that anybody that's coming involved in any facet of emergency management. FEMA offers courses with an incident command system.
Mhm.
And I would urge you to take, they're free, they're online, you can pause them whenever you want. I would urge you to take that all the way up to the 700 level. Because you need to understand the incident command system, how that works, who does what, and all of that is explained within the incident command system. So that's kind of the building block for any emergency response. Because if you don't understand who's responsible for what, you're gonna be confused.
Yeah, so
That's a great
talked
segue,
about
that's a
that,
great
yeah.
segue.
Brian, you take over. and-
Yeah, so Jeremy Hales reviewed our plan, well, the first half of the plan, I'd say. This week, and he's gonna go over the second half next week, and he said, 100, 200, 700, 800. It skips to 700 and then 800. There's four classes he recommends all the emergency management staff take. We also need, obviously, to update our website once we get the actual procedures in place, to put links to that, contact number and all that stuff. You've got a succession plan we're working on. As the mayor said, it starts at the mayor, then goes to pro temp, that's you, then me, and then any other council member that's here, whoever is here at the time, at the highest level, will start. But then when everything's script, who the help, right? Because we don't have an emergency management staff, right? So pretty much people sitting at this table are it for coordinating. And now, as Jeremy said, we can immediately request resources from the family. We are gonna have a direct connection to their own response system. And everybody here will have.
I got a login and
login
password
and-
today.
And
So
we'll have it
we'll
up on
have
the
a
screen.
we will have a monitor in here. You could put it on by having that app, you can put it on your phone or whatever.
It's just a web app.
And so that will give us, that will be like the dashboard of
Yeah.
of what we do, it's basically a front end
Mhm.
to all the things that we should know at any particular time, what disasters might be occurring, what stage they might be in. and also what things are being done by the
Right.
county
Right.
on those, so that it's an information portal, essentially. And I think that will help us. I would like to have a monitor here, full time,
Mhm.
maybe right upstairs in town hall that's always active on that, but we all go home after a certain point.
We all have access from home.
So that's one thing that we got login password.
Yeah, he's gonna get that to us, Jeremy, is we also are gonna get an uninterruptible power supply and generator for a heater as the main center, and the backup is the Public Works building. And then the
Firehouse.
tertiary will be Firehouse 56, and the quaternary, I don't know what it is, that's more
Someone
levels.
spoken with Eric Hales about this?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
And he suggested the Jordan Station 53 across the Jordan. So if we're all on fire,
Yeah.
they're on the other side. Hopefully, we're not both
So
sides.
that'll be
Jordan on
number
fire.
4. If
Yeah.
we ever get BlackRock, maybe that's 4 and Jordan Mills
Yeah,
5.
right.
So to speak.
Yeah,
So
the big concept to understand is all response starts locally.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to solve our own problems, and if
Yeah.
we can't, we request help from the county.
Right.
And if the county can't help us,
They go to the state, and the
And
state
then-
goes to the feds.
Right,
Yeah.
under the Stafford Act, right.
And we have certain forms we have to fill out, and we have to document any expenses that we incur. Either supporting, like Tuhei addition, right? And then they ask us for support, we provide it. We have to document all the labor and expenses that we incur. And then that's because
Sometimes it's reimbursable if,
Sometimes it's reimbursable from like
yeah, we
FEMA.
got that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we could have this a
Well,
long.
this could
I
go on
think,
for hours, yeah.
Literally, we've been on these calls for hours and hours and hours.
Can I ask one question? Can I
Sure.
go back to, you said we're gonna have a new system where residents can text us, or we have this open thing of communication. Are those texts grammable?
Probably.
Good question.
I'm sorry,
This text system,
I think it's
contemplating putting.
It's
like,
not
not incoming.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's us sending, so that it would be grammable, so any communication I have on my phone with a resident on a city or a town issue, that's a city, aren't we a city? That's
It's
grammable.
already grammable.
So does the mayor have a town issue phone?
yes.
Okay, do any of you guys?
And this is a question, some cities do it, some cities don't,
Yeah.
it's considerable. There's an expense to it and it's a pain in the hind end, because you gotta drag 2
I
phones.
carry 2 phones around with me now, yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to do that at one company I was with, and I hated it,
But it's not
Told them
like,
Wouldn't do it.
Huh?
They wanted me to BlackBerry back, and I said, no.
But it's no fun if you're communicating back and forth and then they suddenly say, we want. And the danger is, it's like, oh, they just got your grandma everything in your personal
well,
phone.
that's why I'm asking.
And that's
So
what
there
I
will
like
be a
keeping
situation
some, yeah.
where my personal number will be
Yeah.
on the website that somebody could text me on.
But that also depends, right, on with grandma, like what it's about. I mean, if it's city business versus like what like
There's certain
yeah,
privileges,
right,
like,
yeah.
my privilege, they're not,
Yeah.
that's not falling, they're not getting that under grandma.
No.
But, if it's town business, I think it's fair game.
So are you planning on the website updates that you're doing, putting phone numbers for the town council? members?
Well, I think we'd have to do that legally at that point and determine
Yeah.
if you did not want to put your phone number up there. That we could have some forwarding number perhaps, you can do a Google number that can forward to, and those numbers are free. I have a Google number and it forwards on, it does some forwarding.
I do
for me.
too, so, and I use that like in connection with the campaign, so that kind of solution would be a great idea.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
that's
not your
free,
personal thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Personally, I prefer they send me an email on my town email
Correct.
address.
Yes.
That way it's automatically
Yeah.
captured, I don't have to worry about keeping it, and then if someone, I don't wanna communicate about town business in texts.
Right.
Because now it's up to me to keep it and figure out how to get it out on my phone.
Yeah, when I took the introductory course at the Utah League of Cities and Towns, their former legal director, who's still a consultant for them, gave an hour-long talk about communications.
Mm.
And he said, don't text, don't on your personal phone or even regular company phone, don't email on don't post anything on
Right.
social media.
I'm
He said the
familiar
best
with
thing
that.
to do is just make a phone call where it's verbal and there's no
But that's,
recording.
yeah, I'm familiar with that. The question is, what are you thinking about instituting that's new and?
Well,
I think I'm going to text.
Yeah, these are all
People are
out,
signing
the
up.
constant contact to say,
It's not.
maybe a survey, what, you know,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
kinds of things. And the texting piece is just informational outbound. I'm not looking to get anything back.
Right.
And the two best services out there for those two things are constant contact and it's better thing. So that's what I'd like to at least encourage more outbound communications. Cause not everybody reads their email newsletter. They read short texts. So we have to have a combination of communication that really relates to how people
We need an
read.
And that would
Yeah.
help us on emergency response too.
I think so too. I do, this was not my idea.
Yeah.
But,
originally.
on for emergency, easy,
Mhm.
Everbridge is that
Right.
piece, but it could be.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
want to give status updates to our,
Yeah.
you know.
Or maybe just sign, hey, we're communicating every 50th communication, sign up for Everbridge, yeah.
For urgent, life-threatening communications. It is possible for government agencies to access every cell phone that is connected with a tower within the range.
Right.
However, that's very restricted. And only certain people can do that. But, for example, if a huge wildfire broke out here, I would anticipate that the county
will
would
do
use that system to say to every cell phone that is linked to a tower in this neighborhood, hey, red alert, kind of like child abduction alerts, if you ever get those in your phone.
Yes.
There are earthquake alerts, there are national security alerts, there are all kinds of alerts, and this would fall into that category. But that would not be for us to decide, that would be for the incident commander to decide.
And that's what Jeremy Doring has,
He said he would do that.
he said he would do.
He has access.
Yeah, I see, and his
Even
team,
if your phone is turned off during the evening, when you're sleeping.
Turned off, I don't think it would go off if you turn it off. I think
If you silence
If
it,
it's
then
silent,
it'll still come
yeah.
through.
bingo.
It'll still.
Yeah, it has to be on in order to.
you get those alerts, no matter whether,
I
you
think
have to have it on.
your
Right, so
phone.
it's just silence.
Your phone has. Well, my phone has options to silence up to a certain level. You can't silence national security alerts, you can't, unless it's off. But if it's on, you can't silence, I believe, national security alerts. And there's one other level, I can't remember what it is. But if it's off, you're not gonna get it.
Right.
You can, mine allows you to turn off Amber Alerts and things like that. I haven't going to.
Those are the lower level, but there are.
There's a
There's a red
hell is
light
go all the way through. That's the.
if the phone is on.
FEMA.
I see Tanya backing up here, so,
She's like.
she's giving us a hint. Carol, do you have anything to add?
It's just what I talked to you, we have to kind of start over. Not
Well-
start over, I take that back.
Well, we have to pick up where we
We
are.
have to pick up where we
And
left off.
so,
I did get, just so you know, I got 3 or 4 notifications from Jan right before this meeting started, because she had promised that she would, and I believe Rachel probably got them too. That she was gonna forward us information about the people on the committee that she was planning. And
well, that we need to know that, well, Carol, why don't you and I take that piece separately and we'll set up a little meeting either here. And so I'll talk to you right after this, because that's a project. This is a big project.
I know. it's a big project.
And we may
Right.
have to incorporate other people in the cameras.
Right, and Rachel did indicate that she wanted to be on the transportation committee,
Okay.
so she wants to be on this.
Well, anybody who wants to be it now,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
we'll have some work.
I guess.
I think we're pretty much done at this point.
We need a motion.
Do we need a motion to?
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Carol came in first.
Yep.
Ryan second. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Hi,
Thanks, guys, thanks.
thank you.
Corbin, thank you.
Thanks, Corbin. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday.